5 minutes later, Nick stood up and held herself very straight. She spread out her arms like wings. This was the place where everybody wanted to stand, the very top. But not many kids could do it. Most of them were scared, for if you lost your grip and rolled off the edge, it would kill you. All around were the roofs of other houses and the green tops of trees. On the other side of town were the church steeples and the smokestacks from the mills. The sky was bright blue and hot as fire. The sun made everything on the ground either dizzy, white, or black. That was a passage from Carson McCullers' The Heart is a Lonely Hunter, her debut novel, and considered a feat of American Southern literature. Carson McCullers, originally born Lula Carson Smith, is a writer of the American tradition within the 20th century, who most of her works were centered around or within the setting of the South. She is or had been a local author here in Columbus, Georgia, having even been born here in Columbus, Georgia. My reasoning for choosing Carson McCullers for this video is that I feel within my magical realism series I was very much focused on looking at international writers, with writers like Kafka being from Prague, Russian authors, Japanese authors, and in my last video looking at Latin American authors like Jorge Luis Borges. So I wanted to kind of narrow it down and get back to home, which is Columbus, Georgia. And lo and behold, Columbus, Georgia is also known for having an internationally famous writer. Though the setting in The Heart is a Lonely Hunter is never given away, it's clear for anyone who's lived in the Columbus area or anyone who's been to downtown Columbus, Georgia, can immediately recognize some of the settings in which Carson McCullers is describing. And it's no secret that she spent most of her childhood in the downtown area. I think it's imperative for audiences and readers alike to understand that where McCullers is coming from in terms of her writing. Her novel is a staple of the Southern Gothic tradition, as well as a novel I think is very much embedded in the modernist approach to writing and genre. And I think it's also important to acknowledge what themes McCullers is getting at. McCullers is very much interested not only in the novel, but in her actual in her lifetime. She was very interested in people who had mental challenges or physical challenges, and she would always incorporate them into her works. And for the instance of The Heart is a Lonely Hunter, the main character, John Singer, is a deaf man who mostly communicates through sign language. She's also interested in people who deviated from the norm. So much of her writing also includes people of different sexualities. There's some changes of gender even in some of her works, or at least the hinting of that, which makes for a really inclusive and really forward-thinking way to acknowledge the social confines that people live under and live through. And though this makes for fantastic writing and compelling characters, and that alone is more than basis enough to read the work itself, I also encourage people who live in Columbus, Georgia, to get around to reading this novel, because the setting is absolutely about Columbus, Georgia. Not only within the downtown area, but the areas within or in and around Columbus. Though it is set in the 1930s and Columbus isn't necessarily recognized as a mill town that much anymore, it's surprising just how much of Columbus can be read in this novel, especially if you are more than familiar with the area. If you're like me, who grew up in Columbus, Georgia for all your life, it's insightful, and it's also kind of humorous in a way, or just like, I know what she's referring to. I know exactly what she's talking about, even though so much change has happened since the 1930s, in which Carson McCullers grew up in and wrote about in The Heart is a Lonely Hunter. And another one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video was mostly because I'm also a Southern writer, from poetry and short stories, and I've always been interested in Southern fiction from writers like Carson McCullers, William Faulkner, Zora Neale Hurston, writers who bring the South to attention, and also reveal and diffuse some myths about the South, or some falsehoods that have pervaded over time. And there's also a little bit of romanticism about using the South as well, as a setting. The efficacy of that, I cannot say. That is up for interpretation and for debate, but it does feel interesting of how much intrigue there is centered around the South, how much debate there is centered around the South, and what that entails as a setting. And so the literary writer in me and the literary critic in me wants to talk about this novel and talk about Carson McCullers, but there's also the Colombian, I guess you can call me a Colombian from Columbus, Georgia, in me that also wanted to share a bit of what downtown Columbus looks like. So for this video, I took a lot of footage while walking around Columbus downtown, set it to perhaps a little music, and hope you enjoy it. I know this video was a little different than most of my videos lately, but I was wanting to change it up a little bit, see if you guys liked it, and let me know if you did like it. If you prefer that I went more in depth with my analysis or my review of Carson McCullers, I'd be happy to do that another time. For the time being, I love this novel. I think the writing is effective. She gives us a full body of characters, each of them unique, well-rounded, and all have something to contribute to the overall plot and themes of the novel. That being said, I couldn't recommend her and her other writings more for anyone who wants to take a dive into Southern Gothicism or wants to learn more about Columbus and the culture around Columbus. And for any of those who are interested in other Southern fiction, I definitely recommend William Faulkner. He was an author from Mississippi who I could see myself making videos on him too. Also recommend Tennessee Williams if you're interested in reading plays, another great Southern author to look at. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you took something away from learning about Carson McCullers and her being from Columbus. Again, if you'd like to hear more about this or learn more about Southern Gothicism, let me know. If there's any books you're reading right now that perhaps deal with those genres or are by Southern authors, please feel free to recommend them to me, and I'd be happy to read them. But for now, again, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please leave a like. If you want to comment, leave a comment. And if you want to keep watching me, please subscribe and hit that notification bell for future videos. Thank you so much for watching again, and have a good one.